Are you ready to be connected? You're listening to the Insured Connection podcast by Pica Group, a pro assurance company, where we provide expert advice for your practice when you need it most. We connect you with industry leaders to discuss timely topics so you can listen, learn, and get back to caring for your patients. Now, let's connect.
Well, hello, everyone. It's your host, Dr. Adrianne Ross, and I am incredibly excited again to bring another great guest, someone who I know and who has been very dear to me, and someone who has impacted many students and also many attendings' lives. Is now Dr. Alina Tran. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I feel like it was just yesterday you were, just speaking up at the podium for APMSA. Does it feel like it was yesterday?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, it feels like a millennium ago. But at the same time, it's so odd. It also feels like it was just yesterday. It's crazy. Time flies.
I'm telling you, it's the sleep deprivation associated with residency.
That's too good.
But yeah, so for our other listeners, here, the platform is the Insured Connection and wanted to really just give them a chance to get to know you. So just tell them a little bit about you and kind of where you are now.
Yeah. So my name's Alina Tran, and I originally went to Midwestern University in Arizona. So I did podiatry school there, and then I moved on and did currently my residency at Scripps Encinitas Memorial Hospital. I'm currently a second year, and it's been a journey to say the least.
So I will tell you that, it's a program that a lot of, students and residents have always talked a lot about, so give us a little bit of kind of, what is your day to day and what is
Right.
your life like now as a resident?
Yeah, so it is interesting because when I first started out, I always thought, I wanted camaraderie in a residency program. I was concerned and I voiced my concerns of being a one resident program. And I always thought, on top of that, there's not a clerkship here. And that's another big thing that I was a part of student advocacy, especially being a part of APMSA and being in the education committee and being the chair of that made it even more difficult of decision for me to choose a one resident program without a clerkship.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, I remembered going through all of these different rotations, all of the different programs, and nothing fit perfectly for me. Everyone always said, you're going to get that light bulb moment. And I never got that. It was, discouraging, but at the same time, that's something that I want to voice that it's okay to feel that way. There's gonna be a place that is for you. I truly believe it now, especially everyone used to tell me you're gonna end up where you're supposed to be. And now that I'm on the other side of things, I agree with that 110%.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah, it was hard to trust the process, but I did, and it ended up well. But now in this program, starting out first year, it is a little bit rough because, you're transitioning from being a student to a full fledged almost doctor, I would say.
Yeah.
I chose a program that there's no hand holding. Everything here is, very independently done for resident. It's almost in a sense made to be a resident run program. And that's
Mm.
what, I remember asking my director, like, why is it that you have students? And his response was because he wanted all of the attendings to pay attention to the resident, to give them their full attention instead of divide it. And I thought,
Mm.
okay, that's a pretty good reason.
That's a great answer. Yeah.
So I,
Like what you're hearing? Go ahead and subscribe so you never miss an episode again. Now, let's continue to connect on today's topic.
I think it's been great. So first year, obviously, you hit the ground running. You're seeing patients, you're seeing consults, you're doing cases, you're writing notes. It's as simple as, dictating operative notes. It's one of those things where, yes, we're taught that in school, but
Mhm.
not to the depth that you're required to do during residency. And that's something that I learned the hard way. And I wish that I did have a little bit more practice in that. But that's something
Mhm.
that comes with time and everyone starts somewhere. So
Yeah.
aside from, all of that, it's so nice to finally apply everything that you've been learning for the past 4 years.
Mhm.
So that's one of the biggest things that I felt, coming out as a fourth year student. I truly believe that you are smartest at that point because you've studied for boards, you've done interviews, you've been going on rotations for almost a year now.
Oh, yeah.
So you're ready. You just have to have confidence in yourself and just be, trusting the process and just knowing that this is how it's supposed to be, and you have so many people that are supporting you from every angle.
Yeah.
And with it being, again, a one resident program, we still do have a good camaraderie. I have my second and third year to look up to when I was a first year, and now I still have my third year chief, and he's absolutely wonderful. And I think that even though it is just one, you're also very close to your attendings here, and the community here is so warm and welcoming. And
Mm.
even from all of the other specialties as well, because we are the only residents at this hospital. So we're treated as equals, and everyone, depends on us and our, consults, our opinions, our patient care. And it's something that I've valued. And I think that this was the perfect fit for me.
It's encouraging to hear. And you mentioned that you're seen as equals. Everyone is excited to have you. That's a question that I know a lot of students are constantly asking. Kind of what is the culture, for podiatry, when going into particular regions or particular hospitals. So that's something that you've had a really positive experience on. It sounds like.
100%, because there are orthopedic surgeons here. And how
Hmm.
it works is they're also on foot and ankle panel calls. So we work directly with them, and they rely on our input, especially on things such as infections, diabetic foot care, things that they typically wouldn't see all the time at their clinics because they work on other body parts too. So
Hmm.
they value our input and they put a lot of trust in us. And I think that's something that, our director looks for as well, is that he wants someone, that shows confidence, that's able to, go through this and, as like you mentioned, like as an equal, kind of just be able to talk to someone and be able to work through all of these things and come up with a solution. So I think that's really important. And you're right. It's a weird stigma that can still be out there, but
Hmm.
where I'm at and, having orthopedic surgeons tell me things like, oh, you're going to be great out there, or, if you ever need anything, it's always so reassuring. But at the same time, it's scary. It's like
Yeah.
second year is halfway through and time is flying by. It's terrifying, but exciting all at the same time.
It is really funny. It feels like it was just yesterday you were a student, and now, I mean, you were a resident physician on your way out,
It's
honestly.
crazy.
Yeah, you're gonna be done pretty soon here.
I know. I know.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, if you can remember that far back, when you
Yes.
were in school and going, through the years, what do you feel like actually did prepare you well for residency, or what helped?
Yeah, multiple things. One being Midwestern being part, integrating it with the DLs. So
Mm,
I was thinking that a big portion of it is academics. So
yeah.
time management, prioritizing, what's important. You're having multiple exams in the same week on same days.
Mm,
And it's, figuring out what's important and how to be efficient at what you do. I think
mm,
Midwestern does a very good job at that. And on top of it, having an open door policy with a lot of the professors there. So you always have help whenever you need it. But it's something that you've also taught me is finding someone as a mentor to latch on to, because
mm,
that is something that is also readily available at Western. There are so many professors there that, come in different personalities, shapes, sizes, that
of
it's just,
course.
it's so nice that you have options. It's not just, one person that everyone's latching on to. And I think that's something that they also, kind of preach about too. But I really do appreciate the open door policy, but kind of all of that preparing me in terms of, again, time management, being efficient, but also remembering that it is hard work. It's not just coming into it. And yes, I had my smart friends who excelled easily,
We all have
but
them.
yes, but at the same time, that gets you far. But in residency, it gets you so much farther with the hard work and, how much you put into it is how much you get out. I truly believe that 100%.
Yeah.
So I would say those are kind of the few things I would touch on. That would be, what helped me get to where I am.
It's funny, obviously being a part of training residents for some years now, you still have such a humility in your tone, because you start at the bottom of the totem pole and you go to podiatry school, you go to medical school, and then you get to the top and you think you're kind of the big dog, and then you get hit down and down. Now you're an intern and you feel, oh my gosh. And then you become chief resident, and then you come out and now you're a new attending. And so it just keeps feeling like you
Yep.
climb the ladder and you slide back down. But you have such a humility and just a posture right now, and so I hope, any students listening and even residents listening, even attendings, that we remember that.
Want to receive a monthly newsletter with topics from the Insured Connection? Head over to picagroup.com/Insured Connection and join our email list to have it delivered right to your inbox.
But I do have another question for you, and we'll kind of wrap it up. But I get a lot of students will ask me, okay, what advice would you give me? How do you stay true to yourself? How do you still end up preserving your hobbies, even though you may not have as much time doing them?
Yeah.
But how would you answer that question? What
Yeah.
advice would
So,
you give?
I have students that come visit our program on Saturdays, and almost every single one asks the same thing.
Mhm.
And, you know, my response is typically just one, believe in yourself. Remember
Mm,
that your mental health is of utmost importance. And
mm,
remember how you felt everywhere you went. It's one of those things where you'll know where you belong and you'll know the people you're supposed to be around. And it's just being confident. You went through, the 4 years of medical school, you went through all of these rotations, and I'm sure you're burnt out at this point and you're just ready to try to match into some residency
Oh,
program and you're just
yeah.
praying it's your first one, your first choice, maybe even your second or your third.
Yep.
But it doesn't end there, wherever you do end up, it's going to be okay, even if it isn't your first choice, because maybe it's a blessing in disguise and it's where you're meant to be. But
Mm.
it's again, just trusting yourself, you know, keeping your loved ones close, friends and family, whoever you talk to at that moment, because going down this, journey of trying to get to a residency program is stressful. It's tough. It
Yeah.
has a toll on you, but at the same time, it's a experience that you're only going to do once,
Mhm.
and you will have so much support around you that you didn't even realize that you had, because it's a stressful time. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to think of like back then when we went through all of these interviews and now you
The
guys are doing it in
interviews.
Chicago.
Mm,
Um,
boy.
it's, yes, you can study so much. And I think that it is important, but it's practice. It's, just continuing to say these things out loud and having
Mm,
friends to do it with and just having fun. That's one of
mm,
the other biggest things. Have time to just make this time for yourself, because I think one of my attendings here, he gave me solid advice is that yes, we work hard, yes, we do all of these things, but there's vacation for a reason. You need to be able to take it and just enjoy life, because it's true, you could prioritize and just work a ton, but you can also make some time, even if it's sacrificing, a day of clinic, a day of cases, whatever it may be. It's worth it in the long run, because that's what you're gonna remember, are those special moments. Because I remember I would, say no to going out, with friends or whatever it may be to try to get that A in that one class. But, and then you end up making a B. And it's like, I should have just went out and enjoyed my life. So it's, you just have to keep your mental health. That's one of the biggest things. But I would say that this will always be around, and your happiness is probably utmost importance to keeping you in this field and to continue doing what you love.
Well said. Very well said. Spoken with much wisdom.
Still a lot of humility, Dr. Ross.
Oh, I love the humility. I cling to it. I love it. No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah, just you being able to share that will probably mean more coming from you for some, so I'm really, really grateful to have you on here. So, well, I will tell you, we're kind of at that time. So thank you again for joining us. And for everyone that's been listening, we're grateful to have you on and listening to the Insured Connection. And stay tuned, for some other guests that we'll be bringing on board, whether they're attorneys or they're students or providers. We're trying to essentially pull back and listen to the stories that humanize the profession. So thank you again. And we look forward to for you listening in on the next episode.
And that's it for this week's episode. But let's continue connecting. If you're enjoying the Insured Connection, don't forget to leave a review on your streaming platform and subscribe now so you can connect with us each time we post a new episode. To stay connected with us throughout the week and to tell us topics we should discuss on future episodes, go to picagroup.com/Insured Connection.